Well, I sent away to Sparex and I got a little care package back, and it's S42365, and that's a set of thrust bearings, or thrust washers as we call them, thrust bearings, for a TEA20. So look, the kit, they look alright, you know, white metal bearings there with a steel back, and look, the finish is very nice. You can just see the shine on there. They're well finished for sure. Let's have a look at this fella. And it's got STD, standard, stamped into the back just there. I don't know if you can see that or not. Probably not. Yep, and they've all got the standard. And they're all a really nice finish. That's got a very slight scuff on it, but look, that's nothing. Alright, so the book says, pardon me, the book says the thrust washers should be 91 to 93 thou. So let's check this out, eh? So we've got the verniers. Now where can I have them so you can see them there? Can you see that? I think you can. So let's see what we got here. $92 thou, 92, oh that went to 91.5, 92, 92, 92, that comes, yeah, if I push hard, yeah, but that's 90, yeah, 91.5 maybe. Oh look, it's flashing between 91.5 and 92. We'll take it over a wider area, not just one little piece, and see what it looks like. 92. Okay, that's in spec, that's on the high side, 92, well it's actually in the bloody middle really, isn't it? Between 91 and 93. So with our 19 thou crankshaft end float, we might just go over, pop these in, and we'll do another test. I'll show you how to set them up. There's a little trick to it, but look, it's not bloody rocket science, it's just popping a couple of thrust bearings in. So come on over, we'll go and lay under the tractor, we'll get the cameras all set up, and we'll just set these thrust washers up, and we'll try and set our crankshaft end float and with our new thrust washers. Okay, we're under our favourite little tractor here this morning, and we got our thrust washers as I said. Now let's have a little bit of a look under here. So we'll tidy this up, just make sure it's clean. That's all we need to do. Now to start off, these, I can't see the monitor so I'll probably wander off a bit. These two top thrust washers, we'll pop a bit of oil on them. And we'll slide them up into place. So make sure that the steel back goes to the block and the white metal part here goes to the crank. So we should be able to just feed them up in there. There we go. You stay up in there, you little bugger. Oh, we're actually pushing the old one out. We never took that one out. Fair enough, Lance. So now we'll lever the crank back, and that'll help hold that front thrust, the top thrust washer in, and that should give us room to slide this one back in. And around we go. And I was just checking I had that one in the right way. All right, so one thing you'll notice is, or you may remember when we pulled the conrods off, they had dowels on them. We don't have dowels here. And there is a reason for that, but we'll go into that. Now, on the bearing cap, if you have a look, you have a little tag here that holds your bearing, that holds your slipper in. And if you have a look up the other side there, you can actually see where the shadow for that is. So that tells us that this thrust, or this main bearing cap, has to go in that way. So we'll sit the bearings into the housing here, and there's a couple of little things we have to do. So I'll just add a camera. I'm just putting a little bit of oil on the thrust washers, popping them on the cap. Okay, we'll pop them on the cap once again with the steel, the flat steel to the bearing cap, and make sure we're located properly here. So we should be able to slide that up. And get our bolt started. I've got a microphone, just fell off, but that'll be all right. I think it's still plugged in. Still got the green, blue light on the microphone, so all's not lost. Oh, the little clip come off. Put that back. Now, this is reasonably important. Lever the crank back as far as it will go. Now, because there's no dowels on the cap, you'll see there's a little bit of back and forth movement here. Like you could probably see, there's just a bit, a few thou. So what the procedure is, or should be, is you just take these up just a little bit, fairly firm, and we lever the crankshaft backwards. And I'm saying, just make sure this isn't very tight. It's got to be firm so it holds the position you put it in. And so we'll come in here and we'll try and, we need to lever the crankshaft backwards. So that's right back. Then we need to knock that cap back. And the reason for that is that with the cap back, the top and the bottom surfaces at this stage are probably not lined up. This one, we've just used all our crankshaft end float, whatever we had there, to slide this back. So the top thrust washer is sitting in the block there. Most of the pressure that comes on these thrusts, if you remember, the bottom or the back thrust was the worn one. So with that cap loose, what we do then, we put our foot on the clutch. Or we just lever it forward, one or the other. So we then lever the crankshaft right forward, then tighten this cap up. So what we've done, we've pushed this back, then by levering the crank forward, this will have moved just a little bit. Now, I'll see if we can replicate that once more. Now I'll just tap this with me bloody, I didn't bring a hammer under here of course. So we've knocked that cap back so the top and the bottom are not lined up. This cap will be sitting further back than it should be. So, because we have the crank locked back. So now we bring the crank forward as far as we can, as hard as we can. And that way, that back surface on that thrust washer, thrust bearing, thrust washer, I keep calling them thrust washers for some reason. So we should be able to nip that up. And we know that our, now this needs tensioning. I haven't got my tension wrench under here, so I'm just going to nip it up for the moment. And so now we know that our back thrust surface, it gets all the drama when we push our foot on the clutch. So we know we're supporting the crank on a full surface of thrust washer. That's what I'm trying to get through. So probably the front here has just become even as well. So we've done our thrust washers. The crank's turning freely, beautifully. Shame to put the pistons in and bugger that all up, isn't it? But look, let's see if we're in spec. Now, I believe, I haven't brought my laptop up with me specs here today, but I believe from memory it was 8 to 12 thou. So we'll get the dial gauge going over here again. And we'll get him down here. Sounds like it's going to rain shortly, so we'll probably have too much bloody noise to do this, but anyway, we'll see. And we'll get this over onto back onto the flywheel like we did last time. We'll have to come up here. As long as you can see, it's all I'm looking for. If I probably bring him over there, that should give us a reasonable run. Now if we turn this on, we might get in before the rain. And what's it say? Let's zero it. That's how sensitive this bloody thing is. Okay, let's call that 1 thou. And if I can find my screwdriver again, we'll lever the crank back. We have 10 thou. We bring him forward. We have 1. So that gives us 9 thou end float. So 11, we've got 11 down now to 2.5. So I've bumped this dial gauge a bit. Let's see if we can get okay, 11.5. To 2.2, so 2.5 thou. So we've got about 9 thou end float. Our spec we were going for was 8 to 12. So the new thrust washers have fixed our crankshaft end float problem. So there you go. Hopefully that's an interesting little snippet for you. And
even though we're not doing the mains, which like it probably needs in this job, but it's the main thing. I've got these tractors hanging out my bum, I've got that many of them, but I'm just trying to demonstrate what you can do on an in-frame engine rebuild.